Tonight's ghost might not be one you've heard of, but she's definitely one you've seen, as our spooky encounter for this episode concerns what is probably the most famous ghost photograph ever taken. The image in question was created by two photographers from Country Life magazine in 1936, while they were photographing a country house called Raynham Hall, which had, for many years now, been said to have been haunted by a ghost known as the Brown Lady. Hubert C. Provand and his assistant, Inder Shearer, were setting up a shot of the home's main staircase. Provand was under the blackout cloth, setting up the camera, when Shearer reportedly saw a vaporous form gliding down the stairs. He called out to Provand to take the picture, which he did, and upon development, they found that they'd captured the ghostly outline of a person descending the stairs. Immediately, a debate began over the veracity of the image. Some have suggested that it's an intentional hoax, a smear of grease on the lens of the camera. Others say that it's a double exposure, and point to the bright reflections in the image which might be indicative that the film has been exposed twice. There has never been any conclusive proof that the photograph was a fake, however, which leaves it a matter of debate even now, 85 years later. But regardless of the legitimacy of the photo, Raynham Hall certainly has a spooky history. The first ghostly sighting at Raynham Hall came in 1936. Colonel Loftus was staying at the house for a Christmas gathering when he and a fellow guest caught sight of the ghost walking away in her signature brown dress. Loftus saw the ghost again the next night, this time from the front, and was struck by the unnatural glow of the figure's face, which highlighted the two empty sockets where the ghost's eyes should have been. The next sighting came a year later, in 1936, when Frederick Marriott was staying at Raynham Hall. He demanded to stay in the room in which hung the portrait of Dorothy Walpole, who was said to be the identity of the spirit. Marriott was convinced that the ghost was actually the work of thieves, and he was determined to prove his theory correct. He slept with a revolver beneath his pillow and waited for the ghost to show itself. Nothing happened on the first two nights, but on Marriott's third evening in the house, as he was returning to his room after a conversation with two fellow guests, he spotted the light of a lantern moving towards him in the hallway. Marriott, who had been getting ready for bed and was in a state of partial undress, assumed it was one of the ladies checking on the children, and moved out of sight. But he watched as the figure moved down the hallway, and when she got closer, he recognized her as the Brown Lady. Before Marriott had even drawn his weapon, the spectre had stopped and turned to face him, revealing her glowing face, her empty eye sockets, and a large grin. Marriott fired his weapon, at which point the ghost vanished into thin air, leaving the bullet lodged in the wall behind her. So, who is Dorothy Walpole, who now supposedly haunts Raynham Hall? Walpole is the sister of Robert Walpole, the first Prime Minister of Great Britain, and the second wife of Charles Townshend, a man reported to have had quite a temper. Rumour says that Walpole was found to have had an affair with a notorious ladies' man Thomas Wharton, and that, in response, Townshend locked her in her room at Raynham Hall, where she stayed until her death in 1726. 300 years later, we're unlikely to ever know how true these rumours were, and we're unlikely to ever know how much truth there was to the reported sightings of the Brown Lady. As for the photograph, well, what do you think?